Yes, this is Deo2ring. I'm back again. We're looking at the biblical mysteries of Moses' veil. Moses' veil is a different veil than the temple veil. This one goes on Moses' face, not in the temple, but Paul says they are connected. After 40 days on Mount Sinai, getting the second set of tablets, Moses' face shone. That is Exodus 34 to 29. When Moses came down, he was not aware that his face was radiant. It was shining because he had spoken with the Lord. People were afraid. Aaron and Israel were afraid to come near him. So Moses put on a veil. When Moses finished speaking, he put a veil over his face. That is Exodus 34 to 33. Whenever he entered the Lord's presence, he removed the veil until he came out. Then he would put the veil back on as he goes to the people. Now in Hebrew word, mashwel equals covering or masik or veil. That's what it stands for. Now these are the 4 big major mysteries of Moses' veil. We have the mystery, why did Moses' face glow or shine, in other words? We have the mystery, why did he put the veil on? Why did Moses put the veil on? We have another mystery of why the veil is on and is off. When the veil is off, equals intimacy. When the veil is on, equals ministry. We have that mystery. And the last one, we have the mystery of Paul's New Testament interpretation in 2 Corinthians 7 to 18. Moses beheld God's presence. No one can see God's face and live. So God let Moses see his back. That exposure left a residue. 2 Corinthians 3:18 calls it beholding the glory of the Lord. Glory equals kabob, equals weight or heaviness. Moses carried the weight of God's presence physically. That's why his face was shining or glowing. Why didn't Moses know? Because Moses was so used to God that the supernormal became normal to him. Glory changes you even when you don't notice. Now, the reason why Moses put on a veil on his face, we have 2 reasons which people debated on. The first reason is for the people's fear. The glory scared them. The veil protected them from glory they couldn't handle yet. That's what the first group explains. The second group says to hide the fading. To hide the fading. 2 Corinthians 3:13 gives Paul's interpretation. Moses put a veil over his face to prevent the Israel from seeing the end of what was passing away. The glow faded over time. Paul says Moses veiled it so they won't see that the glory was temporary. Okay, so was it love for them or hiding the truth? Probably both. Now, Exodus 34:34. Veil on. When Moses put on a veil, it means when he went into the Lord, face-to-face intimacy. Whenever Moses could put off the veil, he was going to the Lord to meet him face-to-face. Now, when he put on the veil, it means that Moses came out to the Israel, which equals to public ministry. So whenever he was coming out of God's presence to come to the Israel, that's when he could put on the veil. That is public ministry. And whenever he could go to the Lord, he could take off the veil to go and face the Lord face to face. It was face to face intimacy. You can't carry God's presence and stay the same, but you also can't dump raw glory on people not ready for it. Moses modeled it, getting filled in secret, then served with a covering. This is where it gets deep. Paul calls Moses' veil a parable of the old covenant. We have Moses' veil and spiritual meaning. It was a physical cloth on the face, veil over their hearts. Paul interprets this as veil over their hearts or minds. Jews couldn't see Christ in the Old Testament. The glory on Moses' face was fading or temporary, which Paul interpreted as old covenant was passing away. The veil was removed whenever Moses turned to God, and Paul interpreted this that whenever anyone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. All believers now see glory unveiled. We are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory. This is what Paul is saying. The veil wasn't the problem. The hardened heart was the problem. But Christ removes the veil. Wow. Now we have the 5 deeper mysteries and symbolisms. The veil equals the law versus grace. The veil equals human effort to manage glory. The veil equals transition between rhythms. The word veil equals same word for spiritual blindness. The veil points to transfigurations. Now Moses equals lawgiver. His glowing face equals the glory of the law. But the law brings condemnation and fades. 2 Corinthians 3:9. The veil hid that the law couldn't give life, only revealed sin. Jesus removes that veil. Moses had to keep putting it on and off himself. It was works-based. New covenant promise. No veil needed. That's the new covenant promise. No veil needed. The Spirit writes on hearts. Now, the veil off equals heavenly rhythm with God. The veil on equals earthly rhythm with people. Jesus tore the temple veil so we don't have to switch anymore. Hebrews 10:20. We enter through the curtain, that is His body. Isaiah 25:7 prophesies He will destroy the shroud that enfolds all people, the sheet that covers all nations. Same idea. Sin or deception equals a veil over humanity. Christ is the remover of that veil. Moses veiled his glory. Jesus on Mount of Transfiguration didn't veil. Matthew 17:2. His face shone like the sun. Jesus didn't need a veil because his glory wasn't borrowed. Plus, didn't fade. Jesus Christ is the glory Himself. Now, do you have a veil you hide behind in ministry? That's a question. Moses veiled out of love, but we veil out of fear, insecurity, or to hide that we are not actually with God. Where is your veil off place? Another question. If Moses needed 40 days to grow, we need secret time with God to reflect Him. 2 Corinthians 3:18. Is there a veil over your eyes reading scriptures? That's another question. Only in Christ is the veil removed. You can't read the Bible for years and miss Jesus if the veil is still there, if you still have the veil on your eyes. 2 Corinthians 3:18, and we all who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory. It's Deo2ring, as always.